Warning. This podcast may contain spoilers from whatever TV show or movie is mentioned. Please listen at your own discretion. Welcome to Viewers Anonymous.
Yo, what's going on, man? I'm Scoots Bronson.
And I'm Mr. Foster.
And this is Viewers Anonymous. What's going on with you, bro?
Man, hey, I am extremely excited about this one, yo. Like we did a pod together the other day for my 28 Minutes or Less podcast. And like we got done recording and then I brought it to your attention. I don't even remember how we got there, but I was just telling you, I showed my girl The Last Dragon. I said, because her parents didn't raise her right and never showed her The Last Dragon. So, and then like you just fucking with.
No, you're talking about The Wiz. You're talking about The Wiz.
Well, yeah, because you asked me if I seen The Wiz, and I was like, I never seen The Wiz. And you was telling me to watch it.
Yeah, you talking about The Wiz. We were talking about The Wiz at first. Yeah.
And I still don't know how we ended up getting there. And I tell you that, you know, she never seen it. And I was like, dude, but we almost got into an argument. I was about to put her ass out the house. I was like, what you mean you never seen it? And then she kept talking about it was trash.
Yep.
And I was like, yo, I said, man, you can take that trash back on up the road. And then, obviously
man,
I took that shit
that's
back.
That's breakup worthy, man.
Obviously I took that shit back. But I was like, that's crazy. And I was telling her, I was like, yo, like, you just never, like, if you see it with a 2020 mindset, like, you ain't gonna get it, man. Like, you know, I don't know, but
yeah,
you were extremely excited about it. And I was like, dude, I've been dying to talk about this movie, man.
Hey, man, it's my favorite movie of all time, man. Like, to me, nothing beats this movie. Like, okay, so when I was a kid, you know what I'm saying, my mom used to take me to the library a lot. And we would get, you know what I'm saying, they used to have the VHSs in the library. You could you not rent them, but you could check out the VHSs like you could check out books. And so my mom, the first movie she ever checked out for me was The Last Dragon. And then she also checked out The Wiz. So that's why The Wiz is my second favorite movie. So, you know what I'm saying, The Last Dragon to me was a super dope movie because I used to grow up like with all my older cousins. So all of them used to do like karate moves and stuff. So we used to watch, like, I remember the original Drunken Master with Jackie Chan. I remember Enter the Dragon with Bruce Lee. I remember when they did the Bruce Lee movie with his son Brandon. Like, all the old karate movies, like, we used to watch kung fu movies, karate movies, all that. Like, that's all we used to do. We used to get popcorn, go to the basement, watch them movies, and that used to be the thing. So the first time I ever seen somebody that looked like me that did karate was Jim Kelly. But I never knew Jim Kelly had his own movie. So the next person I seen was Bruce Leroy. And his villain also looked like me. So, like, everybody in the movie was black. They was breakdancing. It was black music. It was black people. And then goddamn Bruce Leroy, the hero, was a black dude. So this just became like the greatest movie to me because everybody in it was people that looked like me and people that was like me. So I thought that was super dope. And then not only that, man, like, his name was Bruce Leroy. Like, that's a ghetto name. You know what I'm saying? Like, it sounds like hard. A name that's a real thing, but you know what I'm saying? Bruce Leroy, that's fire, man. That's fire.
Yeah, man. I got this crazy ass cousin, man. I need to have her on the pod. I swear to God, like, she is hilarious. And she used to do the whole Seventh Heaven thing that Vanity would do. Like, you remember when it first came on and Vanity came down on it. On that thing? My cousin Mickey used to do that shit. She knew it word for word, everything, and she used to kill me, man. I need to get her on the pod. But dude, I had the hugest crush on Vanity.
Fine, man.
Vanity was, oh my God, like, dude, you gotta see. Man, listen. Listen. Listen, that movie came out when I was born. It came out in '85. And I probably didn't see it till I was like 5 or something like that. But then it was just like, dude, she was like the first person. It was Vanity and Toni Braxton. Mm-hmm. Like I had the hugest crushes on them, and they kind of played each other a little bit. I think Vanity got it a little bit, but I had the hugest crush on her, man.
100%.
And then I had the mistake of telling my girl that I had the crush on Vanity when I was growing up. She's like, "Oh, so this is why you like the movie?" I'm like, "No, like listen, this movie is fire. Just because the movie fire and Vanity fire, it don't mean, you know what I'm saying? That's the reason why. But I'm just saying, hey, listen, this movie, it's one of those things. Like, dude, it's a childhood. Like, man, my youngest son loves this movie. It's like it's something that you got to pass down through your kids. That's just one of those type of movies, man. And it's like even like the music, like he's listening to the music and he's like, oh man, you know, okay. He think that the barge sounds like Prince. He was like, Dad, is that Prince? And I was like, nah.
Hey, listen, Rhythm of the Night is still one of my favorite songs, man, of all time.
Killing it. Man, people don't seem to understand, man. With Berry Gordy being involved in this, it took the movie, it took it to a whole other height, because I think that if they would have butchered the music in this, I think it could have took away from the film.
It'd have been horrible.
Yeah,
it would have been horrible. Music. Now listen, this is the thing. It's not a movie that has excellent acting. It's not like one of those movies to where the actors are like 100%, you know what I'm saying, they in there. It's like Oscar worthy. It's none of that. And that's what makes it such a great movie, is because you have so many different elements of Black culture in that time period. You got breakdancing. You got, you know what I'm saying, kung fu. You have, you know what I'm saying, you got the music element. You also have, you know what I'm saying, like this whole thing to where like you seen how Black people live. Like you got to remember, like Bruce Leroy was living with his parents. He had a little brother. It was him, and then not only was it him, they just had a little sister. So like they had all of those people in a small New York apartment. You know what I'm saying? And they was still like out living and doing their thing. So like this movie just it embodied a lot of what was going on in 80s Black culture.
Yeah, and that's what I was telling her. I was like, because she was asking me about this, like the kung fu element of it, and I was like, listen, like in the 80s, mid 80s, like this was big. Like Bruce Lee, like took over like that
back in the 60s.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. And
this go back to the 60s. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the reason I say the 80s is because how much the Wu-Tang Clan picked it up. Because they embodied like the whole, I mean, their name is Wu-Tang Clan. And they had little snippets of
from the fight scenes.
Yeah, they had that shit in their music. So I was like, this was really the culture, especially in New York at this time. So I was like, for this movie to come out, to have a $10 million budget and make $33 million in the box office, I'm pretty sure this is not. I don't think they thought that they was gonna profit $23 million off of this movie. Because, like you said, 100%. The actors ain't.
I'm with you.
You know what I'm saying? What it really is. Vanity wasn't an actor; she was a singer. And so it's like when you think about the other people that was in it, even when you look at Richie, I think that was Richie's first movie. Because I went and looked at his bio. It was his first. He only did one other movie, and like he was like done with acting, which is surprising because I thought he did very well in that movie. And I don't understand why he didn't. I mean, look, we don't know their lives. We don't really know what happened, but it was crazy to see, man, because I was looking at his bio, man, and he got shot 3 times. And then he ended up surviving from that, but he died in 2012. And the article that I read, it must have been an old one, because it said that it didn't say that they said they were going to do an autopsy, so I don't know what ended up happening, but like there's some pictures of him, and he has on like that hospital robe, so I don't really know what ended up happening to him. But like when you look at the people that was in it, they wasn't huge actors, and the only ones that turned out to really be something is they had your boy the man from Shameless. What's my man's name? Like he had that one little spot. And you wanna know who else was in this that I did not even really realize?
Who?
Cole's in this.
Yeah, he was one of Richie's friends.
Yeah, one of Richie's friends.
One of Richie's friends.
Yeah. So he was in it. But yeah, like for them to be able to do what they done with that little bit of money, like that was really big. And it's key that you bring that up, because like even when you look at a lot of films from back then, even, like you brought up Superfly on the last podcast we did.
Yeah.
Like the acting wasn't great in that. Like it really wasn't. But you know, but the plot and the storyline is what really made it. And I think that's what made this movie, because he was obsessed with Leroy, with Bruce Lee, but also when you would call him a sensei, when I guess that's what that old dude was called. So like that was his sensei.
That was his sensei. Yeah.
Yeah, because the movie started out, you know, he's doing his fight and stuff, and he's shooting an arrow at him, and he catches the blue one. So he was like, dude, you passed it, you made it to the final level. So he's like, now you have to be on search for the master, and he sent him out on this dummy mission, but he didn't get it. Like that's one thing that we seem to notice about Leroy. Like he seemed like a guy that's smart, but he got no common sense. Like the whole time when he saw him on this dummy
this was the thing. This was the thing. It wasn't that he didn't have common sense. It was more so that with this movie and with the environment being what it was, it was more so like that old saying to where like you got book smarts, but you don't have street smarts. And that's why I thought this movie was also so great, because you had Richie, who was very street smart. Richie was always like, he was the one that was making, you know what I'm saying, certain stuff. He could make certain stuff happen. He knew kind of the players in the hood and all that kind of thing. And then you had Bruce Leroy, who was technically like, he was like, you know what I'm saying, he was like sheltered, you know what I'm saying? He was kind of like the nerd of the family. You know what I'm saying? He didn't get too much into what was going on or none of that, but he was, you know what I'm saying, like he could still handle himself. It wasn't like he couldn't handle himself, but he just was green to everything that was going on, to where Richie was kind of like, you know what I'm saying, he was out here. He knew what was going on. He was off the porch before his brother was. Like, even remember the scene where they was talking about Vanity's character, and you know what I'm saying, like he was like, yeah, man, you gotta have the moves. And then Bruce Leroy started doing karate. He was like, nah, fool. He was like, the moves. You know what I'm saying? Like, for his little brother to be able to tell him stuff like that, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, the roles was kind of switched in this movie. And to me, like, that's what I thought was always cool, because you kind of had that balance to where, you know what I'm saying? Like, growing up, man, like, everybody wasn't in the streets. But, you know what I'm saying? You had the people who were in the streets, and then you had the people who weren't. But you also had that collision to where, you know what I'm saying, a lot of them hung out together. So I think that, you know what I'm saying, the various points of view of our culture during that time was shown in that movie a lot as well.
Yeah, like that, the way you put it was a whole lot better. I was trying to think of a way to put it, but like, yeah, it was book smarts and street smarts, because it was even things like where Richard was like, when he was talking, he was like, I want to meet her. And he was making fun of me. He was like, I would like to see her. And he was like, man, he was like, you got to know where to put it. And he was like, and it can really hurt if you don't know what you're doing. You know, and it's like, you looking at Little Richie like, man, where you getting some of that? So it's like, it's so, and you're right. Like the roles was reversed because really he was supposed to be telling his little brother that. But like, he was so caught up in what he loved to do, but also at the same time, he didn't feel that it was necessary to be like that guy. And see, that was Show Nuff's problem. Like Show Nuff wanted to prove to everybody that he could beat the best. And Bruce Leroy's like, dude, I don't care about none of that. Mm-hmm. Like I'm focused on a whole nother level. You know, I'm trying to find that glow and be like Bruce Lee. And Show Nuff is all about pretty much being the man, and it's like, well, if people say you're the best fighter, I want to show everybody that I'm the man. So it was like he wanted that street cred of being the guy, and Bruce Leroy's like, dude, I don't care about that stuff. Like none of that stuff matters to me. So I thought that was something else that was really telling about this movie. And then also when you think about the character Eddie Arkadian, you know, straight hustler. Like Eddie Eddie was a straight hustler, dude.
Scammer.
He is a scammer. He's a scammer because listen, his girl can't say shit. You hear me? Like
nothing.
No talent. None at all. But then
you know what? Hey, listen, you wanna know what's funny? Her song, the song that she sung, the first song that they had reminds me, every time I watch that movie and every time I hear her song, it reminds me of Shawn Michaels' entrance music on WWE. The Naughty Boy song, that reminds me of that shit every fucking time. That Naughty Boy song, that shit is hilarious.
That is hilarious. And then his top security guy, Rock, he was like, I wish you would put that much enthusiasm in my career. He was like, I gave you a title fight. He said they called you the big big
White Hopeless or some shit like that.
Yeah, the big
yeah.
He was like, I gave you a fight, you lost. And I was like, and you can tell like he comes up with these ideas and it's like he don't think them shits out. And it's like it's funny to watch it. It's funny to watch it, dude. But this is what kills me though. This is why I say he a hustler. So you remember the scene when Show Nuff and his guys went looking for Leroy, and he went to the pizza shop, and so like he told the pizza shop up or whatever, and then he was like, who plays this shit? And like he kicked it.
No, that's not what he said. That's not what he said. Man, somebody shut this bitch up. And then he fucking super kicked the fucking video machine. I know that shit. That's my favorite part of the movie because he asked where Bruce Leroy is, and then his dad was like, well, he ain't been here. And then the little brother was like, hey, man, who are you? Why you want to know about Bruce Leroy? And then he called, what the fuck is dude? I forgot what dude's name is, but he say something. And he snap and do like that. And then he picked that nigga up and put him in the trash can. They go to commence tearing up Daddy Green's pizza. And then once they do that, then he walked past in the counter and said, if you see Bruce Leroy, tell him I'm looking for him. And the video is playing in the background. And he say, man, somebody shut this bitch up. And he super kicked the fuck out that screen. That's my favorite part of the movie, bro. I love that shit.
But you got to realize, Eddie got it in there, though. That's what makes him a hustler because he was able to get that shit around town. Somehow, some way, he got that shit around town. So he had some pull, and he was able to.
Remember, he had the arcades. He had the arcade joints. That's how he got rich because he was a rich dude. He had the arcade games.
Yeah, and he was trying to have his come up, and he was trying to get into entertainment. And that was his whole reason of messing with Laura because he wanted Laura to play his girl's video on the Seventh Heaven show. And so like that was his whole thing with that. And then like she just got lucky that, he ended up that Bruce Leroy was in the right place at the right time to sit there and say. And then
Walking down
I
the
love
street.
his fight music. Dude, I love his fight music. They shit get to coming off, they get to ringing off. I'm like, yo, like that's why I said the music was so important in this movie because like when you see a fight scene, like you want like the music that go along with a fight scene is very fucking important. And to have like his music, that shit rung off. But with Eddie, I think Eddie's character was a character that was really, really, really needed in this film. And I think it's really, really important because with him having the drive that he has, and then the drive that Sho'nuff had, they had to, like, I'm speaking to people that never seen it. You had to see that there was going to be some kind of collaboration there because both of them had these motives that was against Leroy for two different reasons, and they just found a way to help each other out, you know, because he figured, well, if I kidnap her, he's going to come after her. And he's like, well, if you do this, then that'll find, you know, you get him to a place, like he said, you find the designated place, I'll be there to designate the time, and I will be there to designate his ass. And that's it. Look, he had the best catchphrases ever, dude. Like,
come on, man. Kneel down and kiss my Converse? What?
Yo.
To this day, that's one of the greatest fight lines ever, bro.
Like, man, and then it was just the way that he talked. Like, he had the best swag, dude. He had, like, Kanye tried to come out and wear them. We all know those were the Sho'nuff glasses, man, with the lines in them. You know what I'm saying? Like, and dude, he had the hardest van. That van, those used to be the hardest vans ever. Like, I used to want one of those vans back in the day. Because my uncle had one similar to it. Man, it had the it had the blinds in the back. Man, listen, it had a little ladder on the back of that joint. Like, man, that thing was hard. Like, but you know, it's the same van as the A-Team. A-Team had the same van. 100%. So that's what it reminded me of. And like Sho'nuff, now you can get them shoulder pads out of here. Like, like I don't need the shoulder.
You need the shoulder pads. I'm gonna tell you, go ahead, I'm gonna let you finish, but I'm gonna tell you why you needed the shoulder pads.
The reason I say, like, cause he had this swag. I was like, I never cared too much for the shoulder pads, but like the swag that he had, like in this film, and like I said, he had the best catchphrases, and like when he was introduced to the film, you know, that was going into the movies. He had enough pull for them to stop the movie, stop the Bruce Lee movie. It was Enter the Dragon. It was playing Enter the Dragon. He fucking walks in. His crew come through. Am I the prettiest? Sho'nuff. Am I the cleanest?
Come on, man.
Hey, listen, that shit was so hard. Man. And then he hit you with the, I can't hear you. And then every time,
Come on, man. Am I the baddest? Am I the meanest? Come on, man.
Every time. And then you can see, like, when you're watching the film, you can see. And then, you know, they tell him to shut up or whatever. And then this little kid said, I know who can beat you. And he was like, who? He was like, Bruce Leroy. That's who. And he pointed over there. He over there eating popcorn with chopsticks.
With the hat on. He had the hat on.
Yeah, he had to keep the hat on. I don't like how my Chinese dudes from Sung Dong Goy stole his hat. That was fucked up, man. They stole his hat and didn't give his hat back, man.
Come on, man. Soul brother number one. Come on, man.
Yeah. But see, he had another hat on that day. They never gave him his original hat back. Because remember, when they was dancing on the street.
He had plenty of hats.
He had to have them. And like, it was just so funny.
Yeah.
When he was at the Sundong Goy and he asked him about it, and my man took his hat. He was like, let me break it down so he can get it slim. And then he took his hat off his head. You go chop chop. Take your ass on over there and some shit. And I like those three Chinese dudes, man. Those three Chinese dudes all time.
Yeah.
But why you need the shoulder pads?
So,
man?
okay. I'm going to tell you why I needed the shoulder pads, man. And this is, once again, you know what I'm saying, this is my favorite movie, so I got to break it down to you. So, if you know anything about Kung Fu movies, right, it's two different styles of, well, I ain't going to say Kung Fu, I say martial arts. It's two different styles of martial arts movies. You have Japanese martial arts movies, and then you have Chinese martial arts movies. And when you watch those movies, you can tell the difference between what's what and who's who. So if you know anything about martial arts movies, is that Shonuff, the Shogun of Harlem, was the representation of the Japanese martial arts culture. That's where you got the shoulder pads from. That's where you got he had the little towel that was in between his legs and the pants and everything. That's why he called himself Shogun, because he was the Japanese martial arts, or the embodiment of Japanese martial arts. That's what his style was. Even if you watch the way he fight, he was Japanese martial arts. When you watch Bruce Leroy, he was Chinese martial arts. That's why he would have the gi on and shit like that, like the way his clothing was. He would have like the little robe looking clothes. That's why they were so back and forth. So it was basically like a metaphor for Japanese martial arts and Chinese martial arts. So Bruce Leroy was representing China, or the Chinese martial arts, and then Shonuff was representing Japan and Japanese martial arts. So the thing about it is, Japanese martial arts is a lot more aggressive. Chinese martial arts is like a little bit more passive. And that's why Shogun was supposed to be the villain, and then Bruce Leroy was supposed to be the hero. So that's why Bruce Leroy's character is so calm and cool, and then Shonuff's character is like, you know what I'm saying, the big bad in your face guy. Yeah. So you know what I'm saying? Like that's the metaphors for each of those characters. So the shoulder pads was supposed to be like the samurai, to where the Chinese embodiment, or Bruce Leroy, was supposed to be ninja. So that's why you got those two different characters like that.
And then if you look at the shoulder pads, it had the Japanese flag on it. Like it had the red circle with the white around it. Yep. So that makes a ton of sense. That makes a ton of sense. And but yeah, so and that makes,
my thing is, go ahead.
No, you got it.
Okay. So my thing is, with Shogun, he made the perfect villain. The reason he made the perfect villain in this movie was because, even though, you know what I'm saying, we got Eddie Arkadian in this movie, Eddie Arkadian is not the villain. Shogun is the villain. And he's the best villain because he is basically the counterpart and the greatest antagonist that Bruce Leroy has in his movie. He can fight with Bruce Leroy one-on-one. Then don't forget, he's also the first person to catch the glow in this movie. This is what the mission for Bruce Leroy was all about. The mastery is catching that glow, is becoming the ultimate master of your skill set, your martial arts. So when Shonuff caught his, it wasn't the fact that he can catch it. It was the fact that, could you keep it? Could you complete yourself? He couldn't complete himself because he wasn't pure enough. And so when he had his and he was fighting Bruce Leroy, if you pay attention to the movie, he was beating the shit out of Bruce Leroy, but he didn't look like he was getting beat up. The reason behind that is because Bruce Leroy was super pure, and Bruce Leroy's glow was he was starting to achieve that ascension. And then once you seen Bruce Leroy catch his glow, he was beating the shit out of Shonuff. And Shonuff had the beat up eye, he had the bloody eye, he had the bloody eyebrow, his lip was busted, he was jacked up. So that just kind of showed you just the, you know what I'm saying, it was kind of showing you the difference between each style. It was showing you the difference between each culture. But the reason that I think that Shonuff was the best villain in this movie is he was the mix of, you know what I'm saying, the two cultures at the time. You know what I'm saying? Like, we talked about how in the 60s, you know what I'm saying, when they went to, like, Vietnam and all that shit, how when they came back, martial arts was a huge thing, and that was one of the things that they were teaching amongst people in our culture at the time. So by the time the 80s roll along, that's why we were so big into Bruce Lee. That's why we were so big into Chuck Norris. That's how you get like guys like the Wu-Tang Clan, because you started to have dojos, black-owned dojos, pop up around this time. And so Sho'nuff was like the dude in the neighborhood who he learned martial arts, and then he decided to use martial arts and just go around whooping people's ass. You know what I'm saying? Like, he knew who to pick on and who not to pick on. He just so happened to pick on Bruce Leroy. He had a crew with him, you know what I'm saying? Like, all of the dudes, I think one of the dudes' name was like Animal or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, they was all nasty dudes. And then you seen Bruce Leroy, who he was by himself, but he had a dojo where he was teaching kids how to use martial arts, but he was teaching them how to use it the correct way, to where Sho'nuff was using it the wrong way, and he was using it for absolute power, to where Bruce Leroy was using it to more so, you know what I'm saying, to better, you know what I'm saying, the environment, to better the people around them. And, you know what I'm saying, with that, I felt like that was always, it was like a mirror image, but you know what I'm saying, he was, to me, Sho'nuff was like evil Bruce Leroy.
Yeah, and I think that defines why when Sho'nuff got the glow, his glow was red. And when Bruce Leroy got the glow, his was more godlike color. Yeah, it was like a gold color. And I think that he got his glow. I think that the reason Sho'nuff got his glow first was because I think he mastered to the point of where he wanted to be. And I think that because it took Leroy, like when the scene where he was asking him who's the master, and he kept dumping his head into that huge tank. And what it was, Leroy was having flashbacks. Yeah. And it took those flashbacks for him to finally put that, you know what I'm saying, to add that, like you used earlier, street smarts and book smart. He finally was able to merge his smarts together and realize, like, you know, when like his sensei was like, there's one place that you have not looked, and it is there. And then he saw Laura, and she was like, you sure look like a master.
That was the realization.
Yeah, and then like he saw the dude Sung Dongoi. So it was like he was able to put all this stuff together, and then he asked him the last time, who's the master? And he said, I am, and then the glow come. And I think that it took all of that to go down the way that it went. And then it was like once he got his glow, I think it's also a confidence thing. So I think that it's a little bit of what you said, but I also think that when he saw Leroy got his glow, then he started doing his hand thing, and he started flickering. I think his confidence started to go away because he realized, like, this dude's about to whoop my ass. And I think he knew the whole time. I think that's what his whole motivation of why he wanted to fight Leroy, because he wanted to prove to himself and to everybody that he could beat him. And I think that once he realized, once he seen he got that glow, he was like, oh shit, like I am fucked. Like I can't back out of the fight. like once you're in it, you can't back out. So it was like just that thing of, you know, I think it was really a confidence thing, and it took Leroy to pretty much almost fucking drowning to death to realize that the whole time his sensei was telling him, like, dude, no, you are the master. And that dude name was Beast. It was Beast. And like one of my favorite
Beast,
parts.
That's what it was, Beast.
Yeah. One of my favorite parts, like we was talking on the other podcast about a rewatchable moment. Like you was talking about the scene in the pizza shop. Is when Richie was looking for Laura, and like he ran up on the one dude and he got the drop on that dude. And so he's running and he running the Beast. And so he tried to do the same move on Beast that he did to the other dude. For some odd reason, Beast got a fucking plate on his balls for some odd reason. I don't know why he got a fucking plate down there. So then Leroy comes around and he was like, put him down. He was like, anything you say. And he threw his ass in his hand. That shit was loud as fuck. Hey, I thought I was going to die. Every time he hit his head on that thing, dude, I fucking die laughing, man. That's one of the
one thing I fuck with Richie about. One thing I fuck with Richie about is he cannot be held down by no means. My man was tied up and hog-tied. I mean, not hog-tied, but tied up in gas on the thing. And my man he started doing the pop. Bro, come on. He pop locked out the ropes, my nigga.
He pop locked out the ropes, man.
Genius.
Rich is that
Genius.
guy, man. Richie is that guy.
They snuck into the studio, bro. Don't forget they snuck into the studio.
Like every time they got in there, they snuck in there. And I tell you, like in another probably I would say that's my second favorite part. Like my favorite part of the movie is when he goes to Laura's house, and so they on the ride over to the thing, and he was like, there's this friend of mine who likes this girl, and he don't even have a paintbrush.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
so he's like, the art of making love. And so, like, they're in the car talking or whatever, so she takes him to Seventh Heaven, and then she puts on the Bruce Lee video. And so then my man is imitating all of the shit that Bruce Lee's doing.
You gotta move like water, man. You gotta move like. Remember when they had the thing he was on the screen doing like that?
Yeah, and then they get in the
that joint, bro.
Hey, that shit was hard.
Man.
But it was like
that was that joint.
It also tells you a lot about Leroy. Like there's just certain things that he just did not know, because he really he mastered the art of fighting, but it was like he was missing out on other things in life. So he was watching Bruce Lee, and everything Bruce Lee was doing, he was doing. Like, she kissed him.
Yeah.
He didn't want nothing to do with that shit. But then when Bruce Lee kissed the girl, then he started kissing him, and then that's to take us back to Richie. So Richie fucking breaks in, and he sees him kissing, and so then Richie get pissed off. When he comes back, he's gone.
He was pissed off.
Hit him with the all-time line. Get your hands off my woman.
Off my woman. Come on, man. What?
Hey, Richie's that, man. I'm telling you. Rich is the first, like the original fucking Mac, dude. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Original Mac.
Yeah.
Original Mac.
Yeah.
He was that guy, man. And then that's when Eddie came and got him. And the roster he put together. Listen, that roster was trash. Like, he just put together all these damn people. Like, they can't nobody do shit with Leroy. And then they got their ass whooped by a bunch of kids. Then also
no, the best part is when the one dude for some odd reason I'm thinking his name Jimmy. His name ain't Jimmy. Johnny. When he caught it and then he did the Bruce Lee thing, he was like, ooh, and he turned to Bruce Lee real quick and he started getting busy. Hey man, that was the joint, bro.
Yeah, that was funny. It also was funny when they was in the dojo, and he was like, I mastered the art of fighting without knowing how to fight.
Yeah.
So he was like, give him a little bit of attitude, give him a little bit.
Yeah. He had it down packed, bro. It worked.
Oh yeah, it worked. But when the scene, like what you were talking about, when he was finally, got his groove, because once he kicked the dude, it was like, then he was feeling it, then he got the nunchucks, and then he got the nunchuck down.
Yeah.
Then the little
was
kid,
getting busy.
Hey, that little kid couldn't act for shit. But
at all,
but
bro.
He was nice though. But and then the part when Johnny gets knocked down, and then the kid's like, Johnny, and then he looked up, and then that music changed, and you was like, oh shit.
When he hit the noise like that, I was like, he better get busy.
Oh man. Oh man, listen, there's
You
so
better
many
get busy.
there's so many
Yeah.
rewatchable parts in this movie, man. And that's what I was trying to tell her,
Yeah.
but like, man, she don't get it. But it's so much stuff like the like there's so much to go along, man. It's like we haven't even mentioned like some of the parts, like even like in the part where when they was in the pizza shop, and then the mama was hitting the motherfuckers with the dough. Like that shit was hilarious.
Dope. Hey, man, listen, she had an arm on her, didn't she?
Man,
She was accurate, boy.
Man, she was real accurate, but she was fucking Drew Brees with that shit.
Yeah.
Everybody got face.
Real. She hit Beast in the face. Yeah,
Beast,
everybody.
and the white dude. Hit the white dude in the face too. Like
Yep.
she didn't miss. Man, she was 2 for 2.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, she was a dog, man.
Oh yeah, she wasn't
Yeah, she was
playing.
a dog. No, wait. But do you know the motto? Not the motto, the motto of Green's Pizza?
It was oh man, it's there. It's like Licho Fiesta and Daddy Green's Pizza or something.
No. Move your pizza to Daddy Green's Pizza. That was the greatest. That was the greatest.
And then they had it on the building. Who put the damn motto on the building?
That was the greatest slogan, bro. Bro, that moving your pizza to Daddy Green's Pizza, that was genius, bro. When I heard that, hey, I've never forgotten that, bro. To this day, that's one of the funniest fucking slogans I've ever heard in my life, man.
And I don't think I still to this day see a slogan on the actual building. Like, that shit was hilarious, man.
Ever.
Hilarious.
Ever, bro. From the Chinese dudes breakdancing, they was breakdancing the what was the sukiyaki sake sweet? Sake to me, I sake it to you. Come on, man. What? Come on. Hey, that movie had too many moments, bro.
Dude, I told you like the music, it made this movie, man. It really made this movie. Like every track that they used fit for everything that they was doing. And like I haven't seen the two movies that come to mind right off jump is the one movie that you mentioned, because I mentioned the soundtrack, Superfly, the original Superfly, like Curtis Mayfield.
Yeah,
like that fit that movie perfectly. And the other one is Black Panther, because that Black Panther soundtrack, it went, hand in hand with the movie. And I think that this was the same thing.
Don't forget the Wiz, though. Don't forget the Wiz.
Well, like I said, I can't mention the Wiz because I haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen it yet.
You gotta watch that joint. You gotta watch that joint.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to watch it. But like everything fit perfectly. Like I think that a movie like this, like there are those movies that don't have. This is one of those movies that don't have that big budget, but the impact that it has and what they was able to do with such a low budget, it really shifted things. And like another movie. Yeah, I mention it all the time. The original Halloween, the first Halloween, they only had like it was something crazy, like an $8 million budget or something like that. It was something real crazy, and it was like for them to have that much less of money. That was another one of those types of films, and that's exactly what The Last Dragon was able to do.
Yeah, and then you also gotta remember too, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Berry Gordy was not he wasn't a director. You know what I'm saying? He was a part of Motown. He was the guy that was at Motown. So for him to create this movie that eventually becomes a cult classic is just another testament to his legacy of how great, you know what I'm saying, his mind was. You know what I'm saying? Like, Berry Gordy is associated with like Michael Jackson and Diana Ross and the Temptations. So for him to take a guy like Timok, and then, you know what I'm saying, for him to get a lady like Vanity, who was a singer, and I think she was in what was it, Apollonia 6 or some shit like that. I think that's what the group was called. Well, maybe that's not the group. Maybe that was the group in Purple Rain. I forgot what the actual group was. But I know she was, I think it was Apollonia 6 in real life. But I know she was like Apollonia in Purple Rain or some shit like that. But to take her and then put her in this role, and then to create this movie, which will become such a hit later on down the line, at a time to where, you know what I'm saying, like, martial arts movies and kung fu movies were a thing. And then, you know what I'm saying, like, the only other martial artist that we can really name that was that big or that was in that realm was Jim Kelly. And to take that and make that something, I think that was, you know what I'm saying, that was real big, because, you know what I'm saying, you can't name anybody else who could have fit that role. You can't name any other woman who could have fit that role. That was everything that fell into place at the time. Was just, everything was just perfection. And it created, you know what I'm saying, what we see today as one of, to me at least, one of the greatest movies of all time.
Yep. And I 100% agree with you. It's like, for like you said, a music guy to come in, like, you knew the music, and that's why the music was right. I think that Berry Gordy had a hand in on with the music, but I also think that for this to be his first film, I think that they also got other guys who were. I think he started that trend of music guys or label owners to want to do a movie. I think that Berry Gordy was like the person that showed them that blueprint of able to do that. And I also think that the blueprint of this movie is also like another movie. Like, when you think of The Godfathers, when you think of Scarface and stuff like that, like, they wasn't, and like Halloween, it wasn't hot at the time. Like, when Halloween came out in 79 or 78, people didn't go to the movies and really watch it like that. Like, the movie didn't really take off until really, it took it a year. It took it like 79. And like, that's when it took off. And then they started, you know, doing the other one. And the Halloween 2 was released in 81. Well, Halloween 2 was released in 81. And it was because it took it a minute. Because when you think about it, Halloween 1, you know, the way that it ended, it started in the same exact spot in Halloween 2, because it's really one night. Like, for the people that don't know, like, Halloween 1 and 2, it's the same night. It just rolled over into that morning. But it took them 2 years. Right. And the reason it took 2, because it took it a year to kick off. And I think that this movie, even though it made 33 in the box office, I think that the impact that it had is more, it's like it became more popular down the road than it was at the time, if I'm making sense. So, like,
no, you making 100. Like, and I think that's the same, like you're saying. I think it's the same thing for Last Dragon. Like, Last Dragon was, you know what I'm saying, for what it was a good movie during the time. I think that what eventually happened is that you had this renaissance in the 90s to where, you know what I'm saying, like, you had this Black is Black movement. You know what I mean? Like, you had groups like the Tribe Called Quest, you had groups like De La Soul, Public Enemy was still rolling. You know what I'm saying? You had Ice Cube getting into his consciousness. You know what I'm saying? Like, you had a bunch of different things going on at the time. You know what I'm saying? Like the Million Man March and stuff like that. So what eventually happened is all of these, you know what I'm saying, Black celebrities started to gain prominence. You know what I'm saying? You got to remember, like, Def Comedy Jam, you know what I'm saying, Comic View, like all of these different black creative spaces started happening. And then what actually happened was they started using pieces of, black exploitation films, old black music, like all of these different things that we've created before, and then they started to recycle them because, you got to remember, hip hop was starting to gain prominence, even though that, the masses were fighting against it. It was really starting to, gain this prominence. So what happened was we was going back and taking things from, our previous cultures and bringing them into, what I call it the Black is Black movement, but, like just bringing it into that era of the 90s. And I think that's why the 90s is such a great time. They coined it the golden era because, like this is when we really gain our prominence. You got like Arsenio and, you got Martin doing his thing with all the TV shows. Fox was having so many TV shows, so we had in Living Color, and you started to really see our culture get its roots and not get its roots, but you started to see our culture sprout from the roots of what we had before. And I think that this is when this movie was really doing something that was different. You know what I mean? Like I remember watching Bruce Lee in Enter the Dragon with Jim Kelly. And, one of the most famous lines from that movie was when Jim Kelly told Mr. Hines, like, you come straight out of a comic book. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's something that, we can look at and we can be proud of. So now that we have a movie to where everybody in it is doing the same thing as Enter the Dragon, but everybody in it looks like us, like this is something that we grasped onto and we made or we kept alive. Even though it was put out in the 80s, this was something that we could use and teach and show our kids, like, this is one of the, movies that we can always go back to and show our kids, like, yo, you don't have to be a certain way to do this. Look, Ty Mach did this in the 80s, you too can, be in Kung Fu, like, I think that with this movie, we get like Michael Jai White, we get the fight scenes that we get in Black Panther because of this movie. So, and Jim Kelly as well, but like just it, like I said, man, I felt like it was just an embodiment of the time. And, it really showed us that we can do a lot more than what we was doing. And I think that the reason that it's a cult classic is because it can be appreciated because it's showing so many aspects of our culture. And, I keep saying of that time, but really it's just our culture in general. So like I said, the music, the fashion, the martial arts, just the whole embodiment of what we did, the slang, the way people was, the way people reacted and all kind of stuff. Like, I just thought that, I think that it's just one of the, a great piece of, who we are as a people. And it's a great reflection of that.
This is true. And also a person that you forgot to mention was Eddie Murphy. Because he's also Eddie Murphy was in his prime.
The star.
In the 80s.
He was the man. He was the man.
Because it started in 82 with 48 Hours. And then in 83 he had Trading Places.
Yep.
Then Beverly Hills Cop came out in 84. Mm-hmm. And then it was like, Golden Child came out in 86 and stuff like that. And it was all around that time. And I think that The Last Dragon fitted in like right in the middle of that when it comes to like the black films of that golden age that you were speaking of. So I just thought that he was a person that was worth mentioning, like as far as the things that you were just talking. But I'm trying to think. I went first on the Fire Fames last time.
Oh, but let me go ahead and just get it out right. I don't got nothing to say. Like I said, man, it's my favorite movie. 5 out of 5. Easy. I don't give it nothing less.
You know what?
If I could give it a 10 out of 5, I'd give it a 10 out of 5.
I would for the criteria that we came up with, and I think that every classic. No, we didn't. I think you gave Juice a 4.5, didn't you? Didn't you give it a 4.5?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Because anytime we do a classic, like it's got to be a 4.5 or above. And I would
100%.
I would go. I would give it a 5, simply for the fact of like when you grow up with something, and it's something that is like it put an imprint on your life. Like this movie put an imprint on my life, and that's like it's to me it's more than a film. Like it's funny, all this type stuff, but like it was just like one of those films, like one of those movies, like childhood movies, like The Last Dragon, like like Coming to America, like Harlem Nights, like Candyman, like Candyman is like for me it was like,
oh man, I don't mess with Candyman, bro.
Like, dude, it was like for me, like for the I got a thing for slashers, man. I think that's gonna be my next 28 minutes or less.
Whoa, wait a minute. Whoa. You was able to watch Candyman as a kid?
Dude, I watched Candyman as a kid. I actually went to the movies to see this. I seen the second Candyman in the movies.
Fuck no, bro. Listen, Candyman had me so fucking scared as a child. I had nightmares about that shit. Listen, the fact that it was a black dude in a trench coat with fur collar, and this nigga had bees around him, and he had a hook for a hand, and you couldn't say his name in the mirror, I wouldn't go nowhere dark after seeing that movie, bro, for at least about 2 months.
Now, listen to me now. I still to this day have not said Candyman in the mirror 5 times.
Never.
Look, Candyman.
Never. Candyman. I will say Bloody Mary before I say Candyman.
Do you know who Bloody Mary is?
No.
I'll tell you who she is. And the reason I knew this is because it took me down this wormhole of like I'm fascinated with King Henry VIII, right? So like what got me fascinated with him was The Tudors. They used to come on Showtime. It's on Netflix now. So I watched all the Tudors. Tudors took me down this wormhole, dude. I've looked up the castle. I've watched another documentary on the castles, all that stuff, right? What Bloody Mary was, Bloody Mary was his first daughter with his first wife. And she got the name because when he wanted to divorce her mom, he was the first king to ever get a divorce. The only way he could get a divorce is he had to change the religion. So he changed the religion. I think it was Catholic, and he changed it to something else. So he was able to get a divorce by changing it. It might have been Christian, but I think it was another name. So what happened was when King Henry VIII died, Mary became like the king or whatever. So she wanted to switch the religion back to what it was with her mom. So people, they did. Obviously, you have resentment. So she had the most wars under her tender. That's how, and her name was Mary. That's how they got the name Bloody Mary, because she had the bloodiest wars. So that's how she got the name Bloody Mary.
I'm glad you said that. That's nowhere near as scary as goddamn Candyman. Candyman, there's no fucking reason why he shows up in the mirror. This nigga just show up in the mirror if you say his name 3 times, and he kill you.
What, dude? I know what you never seen the second one?
Yeah, I seen all of them.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It shows you why he lives in the mirror. And then, dude, so the second one came out in 95. Dude, I was 10. I was in the movies at 10 years old watching Candyman Farewell to the Flesh.
Nigga, I was 7.
I ain't even supposed to be in there.
No, I didn't. No, we watched it. I watched all the Candymans on VHS. I'm not going to the movies to see that shit, man.
Dude, I was in there, my guy, in there. Like, that's why I'm a bad parent now, man. Like my youngest, his favorite movies, he loved all the Chucky movies.
My kids do too. Yeah, my kids do too. Yeah.
He just turned like when he was, I think, 7 years old. We bought him a Chucky doll. He was scared of it at first.
I'm not doing that shit. Yeah, no, I'm cool on that. I'm cool on that. Hey,
it was hilarious, dude. I gotta send you that video, man. Tag you into the video with him opening it up. He got scared. He threw that shit back down. That shit was hilarious.
Hey, listen. All I need is for one of my kids to fuck around, get that doll, and do some voodoo on it. Next thing you know, they running around terrorizing shit. No, man.
But nah, but I went rambling there. But nah, man, I'm gonna give it a 5 fire flame, man, because it meant more than just a movie, man. It had a lot to do with the culture and the way that I grew up in. It was a movie that's forever gonna be, like I said, that's one of those type of movies, man, you pass it down, man. Like, you know, I showed it to my 10-year-old son. But this wasn't his first time watching it. He's seen it before. But like, you know, that's one of those movies, man, that it's gonna live on to the end of time. Like, you know, I show it to my kids gonna show it to their kids. And like, you know, it's just a timeless classic. Like, it's not gonna go down as like a classic to like the fucking Oscars and all of that type of shit, but you know what I'm saying? Hood classic.
Yeah. Man, listen, man, whatever you do, man, watch The Wiz. You gotta watch The Wiz, man. The Wiz is gonna be the same way.
Yeah, I gotta get on that, man. You've been on me the last couple of days. I'm gonna have to get on The Wiz, man. I'm gonna have to get on The Wiz.
Yeah, man. It's the same way, bro. So, you know what I'm saying? Everybody, man, y'all can follow me at Scoots Bronson. On Twitter, you can follow me on Instagram at ScootsBronson_TV. You can also go to YouTube, follow me at Scoots Bronson TV. Make sure to go check out the last episode of Isolated Society. You know what I'm saying? We had S. Dot on there, man. I had my guy E.G. Carter. I had my guy Baylor the Great, and I had my brother Dre. We was talking about sports and during the time of COVID, and man, listen, it went from me and S. Dot having a serious conversation to straight havoc, man. It was just a good ass time.
Yes, sir, man. You know, go check out the Stolen Time podcast. Go to the Stolen Time podcast page on Facebook, the Stolen Time Pod on Instagram, also S.Foster8 on Instagram. Also go check out the 28 Minutes or Less podcast. Like, it has its own page now. The last episodes, me and Scoots got down on the biggest snakes in film. That it was a really really good episode. So go check out the last 28 Minutes or Less podcast. Yeah, that's it. I mean, we on Viewers Anonymous, so I can't plug that. But also appreciate everybody who tuned in to the last one, man. I told him I felt really good about it. I felt that podcast was should have blown up, man. It was a really, really good pod. So I appreciate everybody listening to that one.
Yeah, man, that was we got some love on that joint, man. It's still going actually. So you know what I'm saying? Once you guys watch this, man, go back into the catalog, go check those episodes out. We got some great movies. You know what I'm saying, that we talked about, man. I think we got two classics. This is our third
one. I think because we done Inception and Juice. Yeah.
So this is our third classic episode. Third classic. Man. Yeah, make sure y'all go back and check out all the older episodes, regardless if you watch them on YouTube or if you go into the pod and listening to them, man. So, yeah, man, with that being said, I think that's a wrap, bro.
All right, bro.
All right, man.